Welcome to the 30-second drill, where we are as reliable as a quarterback on guaranteed money. I'm here with my friend and colleague who supports the team who lost this week, Shane Campbell. How you doing, loser?
Doing good, thanps, mate. It's good to see you got your Patriots gear back on.
Yeah, something I found it was a bit dusty, but we're ready to run today.
That's good.
Uh, I'm going to jump straight into my overreactions. The Pats are back. Josh Allen is not elite. The Browns and the Steelers don't need quarterbacks. The Bears have found their quarterback. I can't even give a straight face to that one. Derek Carr is the worst quarterback in his division. I could run the Chargers franchise better than whoever the hell owns it. And are the 49ers cooked?
Do you want a response to that?
No.
Nah, I'm not going to respond to that. Mac's not back. You're cooked, mate. You're
I didn't
cooked.
say Mac was back. I said the Pats are back.
What'd you say about
Big
Mac?
difference. Didn't say anything about Mac.
Oh, good. Well, he's
Yeah.
not.
All right, let's get right into it. Buccaneers at the Bills this week. The Bucs coming off a 16-13 loss to the Falcons, and the Bills coming off a humiliating defeat, 29-25 to the rampaging New England Patriots. Take it away, Shani.
It was embarrassing. Buccaneers, they had a chance to win at the end, but Baker threw a pick at the end of the game, and I really have no interest in the NFC South. The Bills, it's a good thing they hung a banner in preseason because it's the only banner this franchise is going to be hanging for a long time until they can learn to consistently perform week after week. McDermott's defense allowed a 75-yard touchdown in less than 2 minutes against Mac Jones. That is just embarrassing. Says everything you need to know, really. I'm taking the Bills.
As for the Bucs, this is the Bucs. I guess they're a chance here because of McDermott and their receiving core. The Bills, what do you want me to say? Josh Allen, he rises and falls depending on the opposition quarterback. McDermott has lost to Mac Jones and Zach Wilson this season. If the Bills want to win a Super Bowl, they need a better coach. It's honestly that simple. And yet, I'm taking the Bucs.
The Bucks?
No, sorry, the Bills.
No.
Why would I say the Bucs?
No, you said the Bucks.
I'll probably gamble and put money on the Bucs because I'm an idiot, but I'm taking the Bills.
No, you said the Bucks. There's no do-overs.
Okay, I guess I'm taking the Bucs. Cool. Moving on to the Patriots at the Dolphins. Patriots coming off a dominating performance, a 29-25 win against the Bills, and the Dolphins coming off a 31-17 loss to the Eagles. As for the Patriots, Bill obviously listens to the podcast and wasn't happy with me threatening to jump off the ship, but I'm back, and Mac's back, baby. That dink and dunk offense, it gets it done. And as for the Dolphins, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Miami got punched in the mouth. They're good, but they're not good enough to win a Super Bowl, but good enough to maybe fluke their way into an AFC championship. But I can see them losing in the divisional round or something like that. I am still taking the Dolphins.
Kind of glad these two games are done, so we don't have to hear any more about your Patriot rubbish.
Be surprised.
The Pats, look, even a broken clock's right twice a day. So I'm not buying into this team. Bill's still good enough to outcoach other defensive coaches, but this is an offensive league, and your quarterback is a potato. Dolphins, 3 of their 5 offensive linemen were out. I think that would hinder any team. I expect a big bounce-back game. Tyreek to go for 150 yards minimum. Taking the Dolphins.
Shut up, mate. Moving on to the Jets at the Giants. The Jets coming off the bye, and the Giants coming off a boring win against the Commanders, 14-17. I know you're up to go first for this, Shane, but I'm going to be over and done with real quick. That's why I started the timer. The Jets, they just have to win in this. And the Giants, I guess they've got their quarterback now. Over to you, buddy.
Who are you taking?
Oh, yeah, I have to pick a team, don't I? Jets.
With the Jets, they're the better team and they're rested. And I think Zach Wilson will be the better quarterback on the field. It's some strange and scary times. Giants, they had 3 scoreless quarters and got a win. But it's bad news because they just moved a little bit further away from Caleb Williams. I'm taking the Jets.
Now we're moving on to the Jags at the Steelers. The Jags coming off a 31-24 win against the Saints, and the Steelers coming off a 24-17 win at the Rams. Over to you, Shane.
So Jags Saints was one of the most boring games through 3 quarters I've seen in a long time. And the Jags tried to throw it away at the end. They just need to be better this week. Steelers, I think Mike Tomlin gets more out of his players than any other coach in the league. Wide receivers are healthy, the defense is flying, and Pickett doesn't look like a superstar, but he's not making mistakes, so that'll get the job done. Just not this week, taking the Jags.
The Prince, Trevor Lawrence, with a bung knee, got it done against the Saints. This week, it's going to be a much harder test against that Steelers defense, but I'm still thinking he's going to rise above it. As for the Steelers, they're a defensive-led team. They are really surprising me this season. Do they have a quarterback yet? I don't think so yet. Not yet. I am taking the Jags this week. And we will move on to the Falcons at the Titans. The Falcons coming off a win 16-13 over the Buccaneers, and the Titans coming off a bye. The Falcons, this win has made me put Ridder as currently the number 2 quarterback in that division. That is not impressive, even for Ridder. As for the Titans, if Tannehill misses, I'm actually genuinely interested to see what happens in this game. I want to see what either of those backups can do because I feel like they'll be better than Tannehill. But I'm taking the Falcons.
I am also going to take the Falcons. I think they're the best team in the division, and they should win this one. Ridder made so many dumb plays last week, but they somehow overcame it. He needs to clean that up, and hopefully Bijan Robinson can run the ball more than one time this game. That would be good. Just more than once. Titans, I don't care about this team until I see any form of improvement. They are just letting their coach down. That's all I'm going to say. Move on.
We'll move on to Texans at the Panthers. Both teams coming off bye. You're up.
I am. So Texans, as you said, come off the bye. I expect a dominant win against the worst team in the NFC. And the NFC have the Packers. So that's how bad the Panthers are. And the Panthers, I wish they had another bye. I'm taking the Texans.
And took half the time, mate. I'm going to see if I can beat that. I'm taking the Titans. Stroud's going to tear the Panthers apart. And this is going to be another startling moment for the Panthers where they'll go, have we taken the wrong person at number 1? And I think so. That's it. Moving on to Rams at the Cowboys. The Rams coming off a loss 24-17 versus the Steelers, and the Cowboys coming off a bye. The Rams, I guess this is what they are. They're pretty much an average team, unfortunately. If you want to go deep in the playoffs, you need to be better than this. As for the Cowboys, this is a great opportunity for the Cowboys to show they're a contender. And what I'm about to say is going to be really stupid, but pretty much on brand for me. So this is a game that the Cowboys will lose, and I'm picking the Cowboys. Over to you, buddy.
Okay. The Rams. This is their second half on the weekend was probably the worst half I've seen any McVay team play. And I just can't see them getting the final wildcard spot. I think it's about to all implode. Cowboys, they should win coming off the bye, but Mike McCarthy could pull a Mike McCarthy and do something stupid with either the clock or the play calling. I'm taking the Cowboys with no confidence at all.
Moving on to another boring game, the Vikings at the Packers. The Vikings coming off a startling win, 22-17 over the 49ers, and the Packers lost to Denver 19-17 in what some people are calling a match I didn't watch. Over to you, buddy.
With the Vikings, Kirk Cousins has still got a lot of good football to play, and I can't help but think the game yesterday was an audition for Cole Shanahan for next season, because I don't think Purdy's the guy. Kirk Cousins did whatever he wanted to against that 49ers defense. The Packers, this was hilarious. Love is not the long-term solution, but I really hope they persevere with him for at least 3 or 4 more years. I'm taking the Vikings.
4 years. As for the Vikings, that was a surprising win. I still maintain they should trade Cousins now. You get the most value out of him that you'll ever get right now. Where should they trade him to? I don't know. That's not my job. As for the Packers, I'm not going to talk about this team. Go Vikings. They're going to win. We are moving on to Saints at the Colts. Sorry, that's Shane's 12-5 Saints at the Colts. Saints coming off a loss 31-24 to the Jags, and the Colts coming off a 39-38 loss over the Browns. Derek Carr is deplorable. He's the worst quarterback in this division, and this division has a team that hasn't won a game. I just see far more chance of there being an upside to Bryce Young. The Saints, they suck. Oh, they are not a 12-5 team. The Colts, they went toe-to-toe with the Browns, so they should absolutely roll the Saints. Minshew is hot and cold, so I hope he's not cold this week, or Shane will be like, oh, it's a Derek Carr show. Shut up, Shane. I'm taking the Colts.
I'm going to start with the Colts. I do not know what to make of this team. They beat the Ravens and the Texans. They pushed the Browns. They have some winnable games coming up. Saints, Panthers, Patriots, Bucks, Titans. So maybe a wildcard team. Don't know. The Saints. I'm usually the kind of person to double down and never admit when I'm wrong. Even when I'm clearly wrong. But Derek Carr has been awful this season. I thought this team could go 12-5, and mathematically they still could, as the schedule was pretty easy. His division is insipid, and I thought he'd be clearly the best quarterback in division. With that said, am I ready to jump off the sinking ship? Am I ready to admit I'm wrong? I just heard the timeout. We're out of time. I'm taking the Saints.
Moving on to Eagles at Commanders. Eagles coming off a 31-17 win over the Dolphins. And the Commanders coming off a 14-17 loss to the Giants. Over to you, buddy.
The Eagles run the brotherly shove every play. You can get 2 to 3 yards just every single play. Smash that shit down. I just got to hope that Hurts or Kelsey don't get hurt when they run it. Commanders, I like Riviera, but I don't think he'll be coaching the Commanders next year. They just insipid. Put up 7 points in a game against the Giants. Howell had an absolute shocker. I'm taking the Eagles to go 7-1.
That's very cool. I'm taking the Eagles. They're a great side, and they're still not at their best, in my opinion. But they're tough, and they have great upside. They could be back to the Super Bowl with the way they operate. If they outlaw the brotherly shove, I will have questions on them. But they haven't yet. As for the Commanders, I have, for some reason, given myself more than 2 seconds on this team. They lost to the Giants. It's unbelievable. You might like Riviera. I don't like anything about the Commanders. So, again, taking the Eagles. Moving on to the Browns at the Seahawks. The Browns coming off a 39-38 win against the Colts. And the Seahawks coming off a 20-10 win over the Cardinals. Myles Garrett is a monster. He is just a game wrecker, that dude. And what he did in that game was just awesome to watch. This game is 2 defensive teams, but if it comes down to PJ Walker versus Geno Smith, I'm taking Geno Smith. As for the Seahawks, it was a boring victory. I still like this side and their coach. They'll cause PJ Walker some problems, and I'm taking the Seahawks in this one.
Browns, no idea what's happening with this the QB situation. It'll ultimately be what undoes this team at the back half of the season. Watson can't stay on the field, and Walker's not good enough to consistently win. Seahawks, apart from one horrendous throw, Geno looked in control and did enough to beat a bad team. Kenneth Walker just keeps racking up the yards. Another 100-yard performance just goes unnoticed. I'm taking the Seahawks, but it's a big test this week.
Moving on to the Ravens at the Colts. The Ravens coming off a win over Australia's team, the Detroit Lions, 38-6. The Cardinals lost to the Seahawks, 20-10. Over to you, Shane.
The Ravens made the Lions look like they only had 9 players on defense. They absolutely dominated. And I think they were up 28-0 before the Lions picked up their first down. So it's a bit embarrassing. Lamar's looking better than his MVP season. He's just throwing the ball better than he ever has, even on the easy ones. Cardinals, they kept it close, but they're just not good enough. Murray's back practicing, and he should be back in 2 weeks, if not next week. So there's some exciting news for this insipid team. Taking the Ravens.
I like the Ravens. I didn't realize they were this good. I didn't realize they were potentially the best team in the AFC good. This is another win. The Cardinals suck. The Ravens will absolutely roll them. I know the Ravens have lost like these type of games a couple of times this year, but they will just destroy the Cardinals because the Cardinals suck. So I'm taking the Ravens. Okay. Moving on to the Chiefs at the Broncos. Chiefs coming off a 31-17 win over the Chargers, and the Broncos coming off a 19-17 win over the Packers. The Chiefs are another team who is getting it done, but they're not playing great. They need to find some receivers outside of Kelsey, or else it's going to come unstuck potentially in the last game of the season. As for the Broncos, I'll talk about you next year when you have a quarterback I give a crap about. I'm taking the Chiefs. Over to you, buddy.
I'm also going to take the Chiefs, and this is what we expected from the Chiefs. Mahomes looked unstoppable. He shredded the defense when they tried to use the quarterback spy, and then when they took the quarterback spy away, he just ran for first downs. Kelsey is in the form of his life on and off the field. He has over 300 yards in the last 2 weeks. Broncos, I don't care about this team. You're behind the Raiders in the standings. That's all you need to know. I'm taking the Chiefs.
Moving on to the Bengals at the 49ers. The Bengals are coming off a bye, and the 49ers are coming off a loss, 22-17 against the Vikings. Go for it, mate.
Bengals 14 days rest, 49ers 6 days. I'm thinking that may have some impact. Hopefully Burrow's calf is back to 100%, and we saw Cousins put up 378 yards on 78% passing efficiency, so I'm pretty sure Burrow could go for over 450 this week if he plays as well as he could. Purdy is the weak link for this team. Shanahan just can't get the quarterback right. He's the best coach in the league without a championship, and I can't see him winning one with this QB. I'm taking the Bengals.
The Bengals coming off a bye to face what you would think will be an angry 49ers, and this is a real big litmus test for the Bengals. If they win the AFC, better watch out, because when the Bengals get rolling, they are next to unstoppable. 49ers, surely they can't lose 3 in a row. Surely. And I have one question. Is Brock Purdy a sheep in a wolf's clothing? I am taking the Bengals.
Copying me.
Huh?
Stop copying me.
It's my job. Moving on to, oh my God. Moving to the Bears at the Chargers. The Bears coming off a win 30-12 versus the Raiders, and the Chargers coming off a 31-17 loss to the Chiefs. Starting with the Bears. Is it Tyler Badgett? Is that his name? I didn't watch the game because I didn't care. That's unreal. Good news for him is that he's coming up against Brandon Staley, who basically lets quarterbacks do what they want. So this guy could be the Bears QB1, which is really exciting for him, not for the Bears. As for the Chargers, this organization is destroying Herbert's development. They're worse for Herbert than the Bills are for Josh Allen. Sack Staley, taking the Chargers.
The Bears. Is a Division 2 quarterback better than Justin Fields? After one game? Probably. Chargers. Herbert has not progressed from year one. If that's on the Chargers, if that's on him, it's easy to throw shade at the Chargers, but he's got to improve. Staley, his coaching has regressed every season from year one, which is difficult to do because he wasn't that great then. I don't think he's going to make it through the season. Just stay away from Ben Johnson. Keep your hands to yourself. Don't touch him. Taking the Chargers.
Moving on to the final game, the Raiders at the Lions. The Raiders coming off a 30-12 loss to the Bears, and the Lions coming off a 38-6 loss to the Ravens. Over to you, bud.
Despite the scoreline in the Lions game, the Raiders put in the worst performance of the week. Somehow this team is actually second in the AFC West, and I think that's more of an indictment on the Broncos and Chargers than anything, because they're just, Raiders are putrid. Lions, blip on the radar, not concerned about one game, just brush it aside. NFC teams are 1-16 against Lamar. Don't have to play him again for at least 2 more years, unless they make the Super Bowl. Lions, they only play one more team with a winning record, so here comes a massive winning streak. Taking the Lions.
So I'll be quick with the Raiders. Raiders suck. On to the Lions. The Lions came up against Lamar and had no answers. They're not going to be the last side this happens to. The 49ers losing helps their plight, and they'll monster the Raiders. I'll move past this, but I don't want to see the offense do that again for the beloved Australia's team, the Detroit Lions. So I am taking the Lions in an absolute shellacking of the insipid Raiders. So that's it for us at the 30-second drill. Once again, follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. 30-second drill. You can catch podcasts on Spotify, and you can watch us on YouTube. Pay attention to our Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. That's where all the funny stuff happens, and you don't have to listen to me talk as much nonsense on there as you do on here. Have a good week. See you later, Shane.
See you, mate. Good luck, Patriots, this week. Jackass.
Ooh, where did you go?
You're going to get smashed. Fuck yeah.
But it's fucking dynamite.